There's nothing noble in being superior to your fellow men. True nobility is being superior to your former self. A very warm welcome to one and all present here. I, Abhishek Mishra, student of second semester BJMC, welcome you all to the second edition of world's first 10-day Digital Live International Conference, ICANN, organized by TME Media School in collaboration with School of Communication and Creative Arts Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. We are happy to announce that ICANN4 is supported by Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR. The previous editions of ICANN were indeed a great success. The theme for first edition was Indian and changing aspects of news. The theme for second edition was Indian cinema and alternate networks. And the theme for third edition was issues of community, agenda, and news. Hashtag conference for change, which was the world's first 10-day Digital Live International Conference. The theme for this year's conference is information, communication, and artificial networks. And the hashtag for the conference is communication redefined. There will be 36 live sessions, including 9 technical sessions, 3 workshops, 7 panel discussions, 3 special sessions, and 10 masterclasses. All 9 technical sessions are being chaired and co-chaired by women scholars representing different states of the country. TME Media School took these tough times of COVID-19 in its stride and sanctioned online mode to conduct this 10-day international online conference, ICANN4. I would like to extend my gratitude to SPARK, students with positive attitude and resonating communication, the Student Council of TME Media School. Journalism at Media is the official newsletter of TME Media School. This fortnightly publication covers all the major activities happening in and out the campus. It is a student-centric newsletter carried out entirely by them under the supervision of faculty members. I would like to thank our knowledge partners, K.R. Mangalam University, Gurugram, Haryana, Aldamas University, Kolkata, Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Mass Communication, Bhopal, and Vikyan Prasad Government of India. I would like to thank our academic partner, Department of Communication and Journalism, Guwahati University, and our international partner, Institute for International Journalism, E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, Ohio University, USA. I would also like to thank the Policy Times as our media partner. For more information, follow us on our social media handles. Links are being shared in the chat box. You can also check out TME TV, the official YouTube channel of TME, where you can find the playlist related to all the sessions, lecture series, film festivals, and conference. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Ambrish Saxena, Team TME Media School, Director DME Studios and Production, Director International Relations, Delhi Metropolitan Education, Noida, to please say a few words.
Uh, Thank you, Abhishek. Welcome, Mr. Pankaj Jain, this morning. This session, the third day of this ICANN4, is starting with this master class, and this, I believe, is one of the most important aspect of this conference as well, and also in the present day time, particularly since the time this Corona-19 has struck. This whole issue of misinformation has become a very serious issue, whether we call it, I mean, different names can be given, but normally as we call it fake news, though there are different opinions whether news can be fake or not, but the whole understanding is that anything which is not correct, which is not right, which is fake, which is planted, which is, I mean, wherein the facts are either being twisted or are hidden, or some manipulations with the facts and the statistics and data is being done. And the whole objective is knowingly or unknowingly to mislead the people, to befool the people. So under such, and since the time this social media has grown, this problem has started, has been increasing manifold. And since March 2020, obviously many new dimensions of this problem has come to the fore. And that is how all those people who are sensible enough on these issues, who are serious about the communication and the related things, and who believe that these kind of things should not happen, and there has to be some kind of media literacy wherein an awareness can be created on this. And the most common format that we all do, the forwarding messages and all, without ascertaining the veracity of the facts and all, we are always involved in doing this. Even the people, I mean, I have found that even educated people do this all the time, and there's hardly anybody ready to understand there is something wrong in this. And on the political front also, this whole phenomena is being encouraged by the politicians, because this somewhere suits them, and it is easy by using these kind of tactics to befool the electorates and to muster votes and all. So this is really one of the serious issue before academia. So we all have to think on these issues, and there can be no better person to speak on this issue than Mr. Pankaj Jain. He is a pioneer in this field. I mean, in this field means, I mean, when we talk about fact checking, because what is the greatest instrument before us to combat this whole menace of fake news is fact checking. So awareness has to be there, and we must understand how to verify the facts, and only to spread that information which is genuine, which is correct. So Mr. Jain has mastered this art, and he is all for creating awareness among the people that what kind of precautions need to be taken for avoiding the spread of such kind of fake news, and how to be more alert, to be more vigilant as far as the fact checking is concerned. So I am very sure that this will be a great learning for us all, and I will ask my student to be attentive and to ask questions wherever there is a doubt, and make notes of whatever is being told by Mr. Pankaj Jain, because it will be a master class in true sense, and it will be a great learning for each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you for your wise words, sir. Today's session is a masterclass fact checking, and our guest speaker is Mr. Pankaj Jain. Now, I would like to welcome our guest of the day, Mr. Pankaj Jain. Mr. Pankaj Jain is a notable businessman from Mumbai and the founder of SM Hoax Layer, India's largest and oldest fact checker, which started in August 2015 and has debunked more than 2,000 fake news till now. An organization that was first started on Facebook has now grown a lot. The main goal of this website is to achieve cleaner, logical, unbiased Indian minds free of religious and political extremism. These are the things which have prisoned the capabilities of Indian citizens to be a good citizen and contribute to society. Mr. Pankaj Jain has been very straight about his value regarding his company since day one. After being active on social media, he noticed many lies, pranks, rumors forwarded. They were quite obvious lies, but nobody bothered to think. It disgusted him, so he started combating those with proofs and reasoning and succeeded too. Hence, this marked the beginning of his company. Now, I hand over the forum to Mr. Pankaj Jain. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, everyone, and I've been honored. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks to Amrish ji, thanks to you all, and thanks to DME. Fake news is a very somewhat vague word. Fake news has been coined just recently. It basically this divides into many parts, specifically two parts: misinformation and disinformation. I started in 2015, and then it was merely misinformation. Misinformation is something which people believe in and pass it on by mistake. They do not intend to spread falsity. But disinformation is something, there are people of some IT cell sitting in a room somewhere creating fake news. They are digging for videos from somewhere which can be passed off as a communal angle in coming days. They are gathering images, they are photoshopping and editing images which can be passed. So there are a group of people working right now to create fake news. That is called disinformation. Then there are people who are they have then minions, and they have a logistics. They have such huge logistics that it ends up on every WhatsApp near to us. That fake news comes to on WhatsApp in next to our family or our personal group. So they have such huge, large network to create and spread fake news. This is part of disinformation, and this obviously is punishable if government can do something about it. So we'll talk about like this misinformation. In 2015, the reason I began was misinformation. It was you must have heard of that Jan Gan Man has been given best national anthem by your award by UNESCO. Then NASA has released a aerial image of Diwali Day. So these were comforting life, feel good factor, but these weren't harmful. But by the end of 2016 or beginning of 2017, the people started spreading all the fake news related to communal hatred and obviously politics. So let's talk about type of fake news here. I'll share my screen. So this is images.goo. I have uploaded an image. This was viral, that a rare photo of Mahatma Gandhi standing with the Dalai Lama, and this image was pretty viral. So I have reversed search. I have uploaded this image on. See here, you can see a camera icon. This is the most important part. You click on camera icon. It gives you two options: paste image URL and upload an image. So I have uploaded that image. Then comes the results, which tells you that it's either fake. See, I come across this in Indian history, this particular image. So this is the actual image. Somebody cut the image of Dalai Lama and pasted it here, morphed it over here. So I found the real image. Okay. Now I'll get back to that. Okay. The most important part here is this is a button called tools. If somebody tells you that sends you a photograph of, suppose, and for example, an accident, and says this happened yesterday or a day before, what you can do is upload the image over here. There would be a list of results. Just go to this time and you can select custom range. This custom range gives you an option. I'll select, suppose, a month back, May 2031. So it will give me the results only till May 31st, May 2031. And if I find the result in that, if I find the same image in that result, I'll understand that this is an old image and somebody is falsely claiming it to be yesterday's. Okay. Another point is, if somebody is saying, if we are when we are fact checking, we need to search that who all are. We come across one false news, but we need to see how viral it is. Okay. So we upload that image and we go to this past hour, past 24 hours, past week. So for example, I select past week. So I'll come to know who all have this give a result of Twitter or Facebook post. So I'll come to know who else has posted this image in. See, this has said 7 days ago, 6 days ago on Facebook. So I'll come to know who also has shared this particular in last 7 days. Okay. Another part is in this tools, there is an option called search by image. So you go to more sizes. Now what happens is when you receive an image coming via WhatsApp or Twitter or something, it is very much compressed and very much smaller in size, resolution wise. So here you can look for a higher resolution image, which mostly most of the time are what do you call original. So that will give you a result also. Now, this is the basic of image. Now again, many people share somewhat a newspaper looking clip, that this was printed in newspaper, a clip that looks like a newspaper article. So in that case, what you can do is copy the heading. Since it's an image, you will have to type it. But if you can just type that word to word, spelling to spelling on Google, if it is real, you will surely find it, find the article. Because what happens is almost all the newspapers and media houses are online. They have their digital content, so or an e-newspapers. So you'll find that article over there. And if not, it's most likely to be fake. Then you need to zoom, because in most of the cases, what we have found is they change the article, heading. They change the heading. They erase the earlier one and type something of their own. So in that case, you can find many discrepancies, like the shade of black of the text, and that is different, or that text is much sharper than the content, or that is not well aligned with the content, or even in some cases, people do not read the article, they just read the headline. So in most of the cases, headline is completely different than what article contains. So that way you can find also. Now come most important part, this image video checking. So I'll show you an example. A video was viral 2-3 years ago in 2017, and there was a storm, a hailstorm Oki in a western area in Maharashtra, Pune. So somebody shared this video as I mean, you can see on only the image of a car right now. This was a video of a hailstorm, big chunks of ice damaging the cars. There were huge ice chunks damaging the cars and was falling from everywhere. So they claim that this is Mumbai-Pune highway, and even many media houses claim that this is Mumbai-Pune highway. Once I put out the article, they you can see they deleted their articles which I embedded. So they called this Mumbai-Pune highway. What I did, see, listen to this closely. We need to check the video very closely. What the first thing I did is I looked at I searched for the number plates of the car, the registration numbers. I paused and looked at the number. So that was the clue. That was I mean, it was not in the Indian format at all. So I caught it right there that this is not from India at all. Now I had to search that where could this possibly be from and what time. So I started looking for different keywords like snowflakes and hailstorm on different on Google, on Facebook. I ended up finding the truth on Twitter. On Twitter, I found. See, this is the number plate. I believe you can see it reads 34 space P space 4985. 4985, right? So it certainly is not Indian format. Indian format is like MH for Maharashtra, DL for Delhi. So this was the first clue I got. Then when I started looking for hailstorm, etc., I came across this guy, and he was the journalist. This happened in Istanbul, Turkey, and this happened few months before in July 2017. And when I contacted him, I got a high resolution video. And when I contacted him, he gave me all the photographs, etc., of the same place, same video. So as I repeat, you have to need to look at the video very carefully. I'll switch to one very recent example. In April, in April, this video was viral. It says that a cop has killed a couple out in daylight. He shot them out in the daylight. I hope you might have seen this. And this was like very gruesome. He just killed them both. But there were many, when I started looking video closely, there were many clues. I'm reading that out to you. Mind it. They said that a passerby took this video. So the clues in this video were the quality of the video is much higher, likely taken by a professional camera and not a mobile. That was very pretty obvious because all the colors were good, the sharpness was well. A mobile is not capable of taking, especially the camera is steady as if fixed on a tripod. The video was not shaking at all. If a passing by man was taking the video, his mobile would obviously shake since he held it in his hand. And obviously the sound of firing the shots would make him afraid and hide behind something, which also didn't happen in this case. And then I observed the video frame by frame. I downloaded the video. I ran it on MX Player, which allows me to run it in a slower frame rate. So that gave me the clue that the moment the cop shot, few seconds before the victim started falling back, and the blood, the whatever it was, tomato sauce or whatever, it came out much earlier than the shot was fired. So these were the clues. But again, I'll tell you what actually happens is, people are the way this fake news spreads all over the world immediately is our insecurity or biasness. We are living in a filter bubble. We think of everything like, if I'm a fan of, if I support one particular party or one particular politician, whatever comes to me in promoting him, I obviously believe in it. There's no question of checking facts. I obviously believe in it. I mean, I'm giving out an example what is going on everywhere right now. So, and if somebody senses something against the person I believe in, I immediately call it off. I do not check fact what link he has provided or what facts he has given. And same vice versa. If the politician I hate, if something comes in favor of him, I deny it. I call it off. And if it comes, something comes in against him, even if it is photoshopped or edited, I do not check it and I keep on forwarding. So for you students, the first and the bad thing is, the topmost thing is, keep your mind open. Do not get biased towards any particular party. As they say, the politics is dirty, is filthy. So just do not take everything for granted. You have to check everything. I mean, since the fake news in India came into limelight only because of politics and communal hatred. Because I remember by the end of 2016, I wrote out to many media houses about fact checking, but I never got reply from anyone because nobody knew what fact checking is and how important it was. Because till that time, it was only a feel good factor and comforting lies, as I said. But from 2017, everybody started noticing, because it was all, whenever a election comes around the corner, there are tsunamis of fake news before it, and if the party loses, they spread checking against the party who won immediately after. They take a video from some other country and claim it as, okay, this happened in this particular state. This has been going on even now. Okay, so we need to keep on checking it. Now let's come to Twitter. So on Twitter, I'll give you a few examples. See, if let me see what is trending right now. I'll try to show you what is. See, the word trending is Rafale. Let's take for example, hashtag RAFALE. But obviously anyone can search this. Yeah. The point here I want to make is, if you want to see who prominent person has shared regarding, I mean, this Rafale is just an example. You need to see what is going on, what particular things are being picked up by people. So I'm putting the term here, filter : verify. So now this will give me results only by the tweets only by verified accounts. It will give me results only by verified accounts. Okay, so this is one thing. See, all these will come only, you will see only the verified account. Now, another thing is, there is advanced search in Twitter. This is, you can see from any particular account, if you want to see whether he or she has used that word or that phrase, just type it here, all of the words. Go to this from these accounts. Okay, so from these accounts to these accounts, if you want to search from 2 accounts, from the type in the name of the account holder, the name of the account, you will get all the tweets from that particular account who has used that word. For example, let me take SMHOAXSLAYER. I'm searching from my timeline. Okay, Let's, for example, search for Bangladesh, because I did a story just yesterday, so this is fresh in my mind. So let's see what results I get. So this is see, March 20. Okay, this has the word Bangladesh. This is 2018. This is June 8. This is again 2018. This is 2019. These all tweets from my account which has the word Bangladesh is resulting here. Okay. Another thing is then there is an option from and to date. If you, for example, see what happens is in politics, somebody said something against a ruling party much earlier, but now they have changed their views. Like for example, the many celebrities, they used to कि भाई अभी मैं साइकिल चलाऊंगा पेट्रोल महंगा हो गया when petrol was 17, but now they are silent over it. So and the people are sharing the screenshot of the tweet. So if you want to see if they really said it, you can use the word petrol or something, and you can tag that account. And this is the best part here, from and to. So not exactly from, but you can use the word to. Like for example, 2016, 17, you can put in the word. So it will give you all the results in between that timeline, from this date to this date. So if that Twitter account is very active, it will give you a huge list of tweets. And if they post just once a week or something, it will give you 20, 40 or whatever. I mean, please. But you will get the tweet. Then there's something called Twitter. They can change their handle. Suppose mine is, I cannot because mine is verified. They will change my verification. For example, SM Hoaxlayer. I can change it to my name, Pankaj Jain. If it is available, if somebody has not taken it, I can change it. So what actually happens is that many people who are already popular or something, are a satire website, they have changed their name to some prominent person, prominent actor. Like there were few tweets like Neeta Ambani and Amitabh Bachchan and Akshay Kumar, but those were not real. But if you want to know what their handle previously was, what kind of person they are and what kind of their, you can search for two. You can search for two, like let me show you. Two SMHOAXSLAYER. This will give me result. Two. This will give me results to all the person who have replied to me. Okay, this gives a result to all the people who have replied to me. So if I come across the few tweets which were few like I'll try the date till 3 months ago, for example till December 20, and if he has changed his handle just a month ago, I'll find his actual Twitter handle. Okay, so I mean this might be sounding very small thing right now, but it helps a lot when actual fact checking comes. Now let's get the shift back to video. So this is a very beautiful tool in which we use. What we can do is, see, whenever somebody uploads an image, either they tweet it or post it on Facebook or YouTube, by default, they took their very first keyframe as a thumbnail. Whenever you are looking at a tweet or a Facebook page, they show you thumbnail. You have to click on the video, on the thumbnail to run the video. So that thumbnail always results in Google reverse image search. So either you can take the screenshot of that thumbnail and reverse search it, or this is the best part. This has something called keyframes. This asks for URL of the tweet or Facebook or YouTube post. when I put it here and I say submit, it gives me results of various keyframes taken from that video. And by clicking on each, it opens a new window in Google reverse search, image search, and that gives me the result that this video is old, or has a different context, or is from a different country. So this is a very helpful tool to all the fact checkers. Then what we do is, there are certain sites called, I want to emphasize on one point: screenshots are not proofs. Do not ever think of screenshot as a proof. Many people think that I have your screenshot, you are caught. But screenshot is merely an image which can be created within minutes by using Photoshop or any other. One has to have what do you call, a very this uh, uh, a copy of the tweet. If the what actually happens is, somebody posts something, tweets something, and then they say, when they realize that this is something wrong, or people are catching me up, people have caught me, then they delete the tweet. So just keeping the screenshot of that tweet is not enough. So what we do is, there are certain websites like archive.is or webarchive.org or perma.cc. We copy the URL of that image and post it or paste it in that and save it. These are third party, where you can save the image. It's saved in entire HTML format, in coding format, and that can be used as a proof, yes, that you really did tweet that. Now you have deleted it. So we need to be very sure, because somebody can be, oh, I never tweeted it. So this is one thing. Then let's talk about, there's something called deep fake. This is catching up, but still not viral yet. Deep fake is something very dangerous, and we do not have any hardcore clue to it yet. Deep fake is like, I mean, I cannot run the video now, but just Google deep fake on on YouTube or something. Just Google deep fake Hitler and Stalin. There would be beautiful songs. They are singing songs. Hitler and Stalin together are singing songs, and it looks as if they really are. I mean, somebody has merely used their photos, not even real, some colorful photos of Hitler and Stalin. And deepfake is an artificial intelligence creation where it gives actions, facial expressions, eyebrows, and everything to a image. So it's hard to become tell whether it's true or not. So if somebody uses a politician's face and creates a video and makes it viral if it becomes viral on on WhatsApp or Twitter or something, how can if he says, oh no, this is not my video, I didn't say it, why would you believe it? Because it looks so very much original. Now this is a different thing that forensic cyber cell team needs to check it and forensic. But as a common man, we cannot say that this is fake and that he's saying a lie that he didn't say it. In fact, there had been many videos relating to Obama and Trump made in US for obviously for satire sake, but I mean those look very real. So these are very basic things. The first thing you need to have common sense. I mean, you need to buy it from the nearest store. Government should subsidize it because see, there are so many things based on myth and reality that there are so many photographs that alien has been found, or a dog with a human face, or a fish with a human face has been found. So there are many artists over there. They use silicone and rubber, etc., to create such what do you call sculptures. They in fact wants to make it real. They in fact use motor and different things to make them move their mouth and hand, etc. And that becomes bit wild. Oh my God, alien has been spotted in my garden. So we need to keep a look on it. There were many videos that car. There was a ghost car. The car was there was an accident, a car hit something invisible, and it was thrown or flew in the sky. We don't know what it hit. So it was created by some CGI artist who he picked up actual accident videos from Google and YouTube, and he erased the one of the cars. So I used this InVideo tool. I searched for the frame by frame. I came across the real video. So it helped me in proving that that is CGI. So using common sense and looking for these tools give me. Another, I repeat, is do not fall into that filter air bubble. We need to keep our minds open. We do not almost everybody else in our family and mostly elderly people, they are already biased. They do not want to know. When I just try and tell them that this is fake, they do not believe it. Oh, give me the proof. And when I tell them the proof, this is not a proof. So this is a very dangerous thing. And I'll tell you what I mean. I started in 2015, and this comforting lies had been going on for since the net started and this. But the part there are many videos which are not edited but are trimmed. If I'm telling you, in fact, whatever I have spoken till now, somebody can edit a sentence from it and make it viral, which gives it put it out of context. Like, for example, I'll give you two examples. One is Rahul Gandhi. He said that आलू से सोना बनाने वाली machine. Everybody in India now knows about it, and he knows how Pappu he is. Okay, so that was a small clip cut out from his whole speech, where he says that Modi ji once in his speech promised you that he will give you this kind of thing. Then recently, last month, Modi ji's video has been going viral. It's a 10-second video where he said कि माँ ने मुझे बोला था, अगर माँ ने मुझे उस समय ठीक किया होता, मैं बहुत छोटी चोरी करता था, पर माँ ने अगर उस समय मुझे रोका होता तो मैं इतना बड़ा लुटेरा नहीं बनता. So he was citing a fictional story, but somebody clipped that part, trimmed that part, saying that he is confessing to this. So I mean, this sounds very ridiculous, but people do. So I'll give you an example from the epic Mahabharata. I mean, you might you know about this, but it might not have occurred to you. So when Bhim was taken down, he was lying on a shayya of arrows. He was stuck on it. He was immortal. He is immortal, so he cannot die, but he cannot pursue वो अभी सेनापति नहीं बन सकता. He cannot be senapati of this Kauravas anymore. So somebody has to take responsibility. The responsibility goes to Dronacharya, Guru Dronacharya. So now Arjun says, "भाई मैं तो नहीं लड़ूंगा. He is my teacher, and I have been taught everything from him. So I will not fight him. I will not hurt him." And Krishna Bhagavan also thought that this guy is undefeatable. He can, because he has Brahmastra and Divyastra, so he cannot be defeated at all. So he thought of a strategy. Now this relates to the last two examples I gave. He asked Bhim to go and kill that elephant, and that elephant's name was Ashwathama. Okay, Bhim killed that elephant, came back out shouting, "Yes, I killed Ashwathama. Ashwathama is dead." This reached Dronacharya. So Dronacharya was taken aback for a second, but he thought, "Let me fact check." So for fact checking, he went to Yudhishthir. At that time, fact checker was Yudhishthir, because Yudhishthir cannot lie. He was an epitome of truth. So Yudhishthir said that Dronacharya is dead. Ashwathama hata, but Narova Kunjarova. He said Ashwathama is dead, but he was an elephant or a man, I don't know. But exactly on the second part, as soon as Yudhishthir said Ashwathama is dead, Krishna asked the entire to blow their drums and conch shells and everything. So Dronacharya couldn't listen to the second part. That Ashwatthama is, sorry, Yudhishthira is not sure whether he was an elephant or not. So Dronacharya believed in him and gave up. He surrendered. So fake news was then too and still here. And I mean, obviously technology has aggravated, and we all are journalists with a mobile in our hand. And we see, you people are reading journalism, you are going through the lowest and highest of it, and you know how to present and what to catch. But with people like me and common like, we can video record anything and put anything, any heading, whatever I like to show it as. Everybody is a journalist and they want to, they can share everything according to so the while journalism on even one paragraph in a newspaper takes a journalist on the ground, then camera, then so much of research behind it. But in current scenario, anybody can take a video from anywhere and put it on social media. So I mean, we need to be very, very cautious about it. We should question everything, especially, I forgot to mention, whatever message you have received with the tag forwarded on it or forwarded many times on it, you have to fact check it. Do not forward it without fact checking it. I mean, I'm asking you because you're listening to me and because you are, I mean, a journalist in making and you believe in truth. So I'm asking you, I'm not going to say the same thing to some friends of mine who are so already biased and I cannot help it. उनको बहुत समझाने की कोशिश की but कुछ नहीं हुआ. तो सालों से समझाता आ रहा हूँ but कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा. So they keep on sending me like a, what do you call, like a robot. They keep on forwarding me what the IT cell has sent to them. So I hope I have cleared many things, and if you have questions, I would be glad to answer.
I'm sure that this was thoroughly an eye-opening session for all the spectators. Thank you, sir, for sharing a bag full of knowledge. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Mohit Kishore Vats, Assistant Professor, DME Media School, to moderate the question-answer session.
Thank you so much, Abhishek, and thank you so much, Pankaj sir, for explaining us every bit of misinformation which we receive daily on our mobile phones, on our social media handles. Thank you so much. And I really loved the part of Mahabharata, the way you explained us the concept of fake news. We always go back to our history and we talk about many things, that India was great and this was this. But explaining the basic thing of fake news from the story of Mahabharata, I think that's very, very relevant in today's time. And I feel that the students here would relate with that story and would understand that we should listen to the whole story rather than believing on the half part or the first part. Now, coming to the questions, we have been receiving certain questions. And the first question is coming from Mansi Nangia. You had just explained us about how to check a video, how to verify a video, how to verify an image, a tweet. So can you please also explain how to verify an audio if we get some audio?
I'm extremely sorry. Audio doesn't have any tools as yet. All we have to do is, if somebody claims that this is the person saying this, we go to the YouTube, search for that person and listen to his voice. And if it is the difference is very much, I can use it as a proof. But if the voice sounds almost same, I cannot. But basically, I'll give, sorry, I forgot to, Ambrish ji started with the point that how fact check, how this fake news is related to Corona. Okay, I forgot to mention that particular part, which really comes back to me. This many audio clips were viral on WhatsApp that this particular doctor is giving this advice for this. So they mentioned the name of the doctor. So I used to search for that doctor on Google, find a number of their clinic or something. I get hold of them and verify with them whether they really said it or not. So there's not no technical tool I know of relating this. So we have to do it in real life.
Thank you so much, sir. There is another question. This is from Mr. Muhammad Kamil, Assistant Professor of DME Media School. He is asking you how to prepare for the challenges of artificial learning and avoid getting trapped from it in the image of technology.
As I said, this deep fake has been going on for like 2-3 years and hasn't entered our social media as yet much, but it will hurt a lot. But artificial intelligence being used to find and debunk fake news again also is in baby steps. I was contacted by MIT and few. They are working on creating algorithms to find images. But see, again, it mostly comes back to us. It needs a human intervention. If the video, see, if a video is trimmed or is taken out of context but is not edited, is not modified, well, human intervention is needed. That what actually has been going on, because the artificial intelligence will read the entire video as unedited. So I mean, it's in a baby steps, but I think that will come in a year or two. The tools will come to fact check.
Thank you so much, sir. There is another question from Ayushi Verma. She is a second-year student of DME Media School. She's asking you that you've just explained us the tools of identifying a fake image or a tweet or to verify a video. But sir, talking about the kind of literacy levels, or I would say understanding levels we have in India, how do you think that we can stop this, like the kind of violence which is happening in any part of India, and that video is circulated and then suddenly there is a problem and there is maybe a violent kind of a situation, these kind of things happen. So how can we actually reach to the common man and explain it to him or her that this is fake? I mean, we have so many media houses, we have people like you who have been diligently working to debunk fake news, but still we have these cases wherein people believe and then there is some violent incident and there is a major mishappening. So how can we actually reduce it?
Okay, I mean, this is a very good question, and I mean, I should have included it in it. See, what happens is this, you're talking about literacy and education. See, the IQ level and literacy in few particular cases aren't proportional. Like if one is very literate, he will, for example, there are people who are working in rocket science, who are working for rocket science, and they are still very much into believe into superstition and everything. So the what we can do about this is, and what I kept on doing is this is, you start telling, if somebody sends you a WhatsApp message, just look for it on Google. What actually is the scenario right now is, there are many number of fact checkers. If I haven't fact checked it, somebody else might have. So there not even a single fake news doesn't go without fact checking. So just search for the keyword, you'll come across the truth. Share that link from any fact checker and reply to the person who has sent it to you, whether it's a friend or a relative or something. So that should hurt them someone that, okay, I have been caught, and they might think of it in future. Second most important point, which you and everybody should tell others, in 2018 or 19 in Jharkhand, 7 people were mob lynched because a crowd, that area was very much angry because they received a WhatsApp video of a group going about kidnapping children.
Yes, yes.
So they believed in that video and they thought that these 7 guys are them, and they actually they beat them black and blue. So just tell the people spreading fake news that their one single video forwarding be a part of somebody's killing. It can fall into their on their conscience. We are very much conscienceful people. So if somebody out there gets hurt because of me, I would obviously be very much have a wrong feeling. So you tell people that not to forward a forwarded message, specifically communal one, political one, and these kind of violent ones. That should do a lot. This should go on word to mouth and one on one. So I believe you do it and tell others.
Thank you, sir. There is another question. This is from Mr. Pramod Kumar Pandey. He's an assistant professor at DME Media School, and he's asking us, the situation is so grim because of the polarization at all levels, including the political beliefs and religious beliefs. The priorities have been clearly laid down, especially by the recent second wave of corona and resulting casualties. So can we expect a world where fake news and resulting effects would be eliminated, resulting in a more cohesive society in India? I would say a society wherein we believe the concept of fraternity.
See, you are talking about something on a global level which can call off fake news. But see, this thing differs from country to country, even district to district, city to city, because we all have our separate beliefs. And I believe in India, it's very, very difficult because we have so many, what do you call, religion and beliefs and all. So it's very, I mean, how can I tell someone that you're wrong on his face if it hurts his religious faith? He would obviously be hurt. I have to be very polite, or either I prefer not to say. So now what you are saying, there has to be some sort of which is again a rule. See, the freedom of expression is a very again a vague kind of thing. People can use it to abuse someone and say it's my freedom of expression. People can hurt someone. So there is still no law, and there should be one which should be applicable to all, to the people supporting the people in power, to the opposition. So it should be applicable to all. But I don't think that is I mean, coming in near future. So it's very difficult, but that should be around.
Thank you so much, sir. There is another question from Mr. Sumantra Sarthi Das. He's an assistant professor at DME Media School and is also part of our digital operations team. He's asking you, there are fact-checking portals like Alt News, Squint, Op India, who does fact-checking. His question is that fact-checking groups are very selective while choosing the news, and it becomes very clear about the agenda of these fact-checkers. What is your take?
For the people who are saying that they are very selective, one should go out and prove the wrong ones which we have left, because one need to see who exactly are spreading. I was talking about IT cell sitting in a room creating fake news. One should check who are those and who are not doing it. See, the selective ones, they are saying, the non-selective ones, I try to gather and I to fact check anyone coming to me, because I'm not supporting any particular party, or I mean, even if I am, if he's saying something wrong, it should be proven now. Okay, so what actually happens is we are getting more fake news from one particular side, because they are very well organized. They have very much their logistics is great. They can there had been many instances where there were news articles in newspapers and other media houses that one guy says that he alone have 5 or 6 mobiles, and he is an admin of hundreds of WhatsApp groups, and something comes to him and he forward to all, right? So this doesn't happen with other people or other side. They are either not doing it intentionally, or they are morons. They don't know the power of social media yet, or they don't want to, or they don't know, they are not promoting it. So calling a fact checker selective is a totally stupid. The guy who is calling this selective should look for other parts too, should bring out the same kind of see if any particular image has been edited or a video has been trimmed, the guy who call fact checker selective should bring out similar fake news from other webs, other side as well, which we missed or which we did not, according to him, didn't do intentional. So, I mean, this current situation is the fake news is coming totally from one side, mostly from one side, not totally, mostly from one side, and somewhat little from others. So so anybody can call fact checks selectively, which is stupid.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions
Mohit,
very patiently.
Mohit, I have a question.
Yeah, oh, sorry, sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Pankaj, I want to know that what efforts these media organizations, particularly television channels, do for fact checking, and whether they do it, one, and if they do it, whether they are serious enough, whether they are genuinely trying to do it, and if they are genuinely doing it, what kind of operators they have for the fact checking.
Now, again, a very serious question, sir. See, I'll give you, I won't name the channels, but there are one or two who, on the one hand, are a very popular news channels, but on the other hand, they are also running a fact checking team. Okay, they are, uh, as I said, in 2016, and I wrote to many media houses, but nobody knew what fake news is and nobody was interested in it. But now everybody, every other day, one is opening this. So now these channels, they put out either misleading, which cannot be fact checked. It's misleading, but I cannot say this is fake, right? So they are putting out misleading data and news every day, trying to polarize people, and they even make mistakes. They wrongly, I mean, this is a mistake, but they wrongly use a video and claim it's something else. And when we fact checkers prove it out in open, they merely deletes it, but they do not put out an apology, anything it is. They merely delete it. Link is still there. It's still in Google Cache. We have archived it, but it's not on their website. Okay. And on the same time, their fact checking team doesn't they fact check their own this. So their fact checking team is working well. They are well educated. They are journalism students, either interns or made journalists themselves. But they are, yes, you can use the word selectively here, because if they have made some mistake themselves, they try to keep it out. They try to keep it out misleading news of theirs. So I
whether
mean,
these
yes.
channels, yeah.
Sorry.
So whether these channels they take the services of people like you, or they hire some people who are working there itself and they are keeping a check on these things.
No, these news channels have started departments of their own, fact checking department of their own. Either they've hired a new, fresh, because see, fact checking also needs to have a person well versed with the social media, Twitter, Facebook, etc. So I mean, I don't need to don't want to offend someone, but mostly it doesn't include the elderly, most experienced people. This team is consists of young ones. So they either hire or they shift from their only. But I don't know of any news well-established news channels who are in collaboration with some other. They basically hire from youth coming out of college or some newly experienced.
Pankaj, can you also tell us the legal aspect of this? Like, because whenever the disinformation particularly is being spread and it has its own consequences, what kind of laws are there to keep a check on this? One, two, and if laws are there, then whether the real enforcement happens on those laws to combat all this fake news thing.
Okay, so there is no particular law in place right now. 16A has been revoked much earlier. But what actually happens is, the if a case has to be filed, suppose there are, I mean, you already know there are many such goings on, and while if somebody puts out an image in very filthy context or using filthy words, or somebody trying to defame a politician or somebody, they file a fake news. So that basically comes under either defamation act or something. And this happens mostly state-wise, and mostly the party ruling the state, if it is against them, they take it on priority basis, and if it is in their favor, they do not. So I mean, there's no core law right now in place, and this should be, and it should be, as I said earlier, be applicable to all.
What do you think? I mean, to ensure that these things remain under control. I mean, the spreading of misinformation or disinformation, and they do not harm the society. What do you feel? What kind of efforts should be done? And obviously, the efforts have to be thought of at a bigger scale, because people like you have been working very hard. But despite this, the problem remains there. The problem is not reducing, I believe. So what kind of efforts should be, concrete efforts should be taken up to see to this, that not only that this problem reduces, that in future we are not confronting with these kind of issues?
See, what I believe on the current status level is unite, people unite to call somebody like I mean, I'm repeating from whatever. If somebody in my personal group, on my friends and my party, I need to call them off, that what you sent is wrong, is false, and others from others in the group shouldn't forward it to somebody else. And I give them a proof that this is false, and ask him or her to send it to the one. So I mean, given the instance of Jharkhand, any forward can, they are polarizing people and then can take lives. So one, it holds on someone's conscience. So I mean, in short, everybody should call off someone and try them to not to forwarded message, and like forwarded many times forwarded, unless and without checking, until and without checking. So
The government
this
has,
can be done. I'm sorry. This
yeah, yeah.
like the Swachhata Abhiyan.
Hmm.
Modi ji ran huge campaigns, and I mean, it did effect. But again, I see in like Mumbai local, I see people throwing and etc. Like breaking traffic signal. I take it as my responsibility. If I always take a photo of a wrongly parked car, and if somebody breaks a signal, I take a photo of him and I tweet Mumbai police. I WhatsApp them that particular image where the vehicle registration shows crazy. So I think we should all be behave like a ideal citizen and try to curb down this, tell others not to do it as much as possible. This is the best we can do. If government is not doing, or like government is just trying.
But the government has come out with the certain rules and regulations, and are trying to enforce those rules, already enforced in a way those rules on the social media company, whether it's Facebook or Twitter. But the problem is that these companies are not ready to comply with the government rules and regulations, as the government feels about this, and there's a lot of legal tangle is also involved. So my question is, if the government is serious about, because particularly I'm referring to the source of any misinformation which the government is actually targeting to find out, but these companies are not ready to comply with, in the name of the privacy. What do you feel, if the source is traced about some disinformation, this whole problem can be sorted out, and how genuine are are the efforts of the government in this direction?
Okay, so yes, it's a very good effort that the government is taking, but it's somewhat debatable. But I'll what you are talking about, I'll give you two examples. Twitter. So what's happened recently with Twitter? It was it said manipulated media, but it didn't give proof why it didn't say manipulated media. It didn't give any link to someone if he can find. It is kind of like, what do you call, autocracy kind of thing. Okay, I'm the God and I'm saying this is false and you have to believe me, right? So that was something very much wrong. And on the other hand, what Facebook is doing, they have collaborated with third parties, third party fact checkers, and somebody posts something false, they put up an email that this is false, and to check why it is false, click here, and they give links to the fact checking underneath, which is very much logical and right. But what the point here is, they give for example, WhatsApp encryption. So WhatsApp is all about privacy. I mean, yes, WhatsApp is taking out our privacy, which is also dangerous, but they would be selling our data for advertisement to different parties. It could be political, it could be somebody selling something. But me messaging you, if it is taken out, if it is can be if the encryption is not in place, it is something very dangerous, I believe. I mean, it can help in tracking down terrorists, etc. But again, मैं आपको फोन कर रहा हूँ और पूरे कंट्री का एक फोन लोग फोन रिकॉर्डिंग करने लगे और ये टैप करने लगे, तो दिस इज, आई मीन, सो WhatsApp, the government says the reason why they are asking WhatsApp to decrypt, I mean, give their option, that who started this particular fake news first, who was the pioneer. That is a good point, but this particular thing will take away our chat encryption. So that's why WhatsApp, I believe, is not defending. But on Twitter, on Facebook, one can search this time-wise, that and even Twitter doesn't itself cannot, I mean, find that who posted it first. It's based on algorithm which anybody can see because it's out in the open. So it's very much debatable. Government has taken a good step, but I hope they take this step very seriously and go entire way on it.
But Pankaj, there are people who believe that the government machinery itself is sometimes involved in spreading misinformation. Now, what can be the way out in such a situation?
As I said, there's no way out legally, but all we can do is enlighten people not to see. I made an banner regarding this 2 years ago, which went viral. That forwarded as received is a coward shield. एक डरपोक ऐसा बोलता है कि ये फॉरवर्डेड रिसीव्ड है, उसको खुद को नहीं पता कि वो क्या फॉरवर्ड कर रहा है और वो सच है कि नहीं. Many times people write, now WhatsApp has put up a tag that it has been forwarded, but earlier people write underneath that forwarded and received. मतलब मेरे को तो कुछ पता है नहीं, मैं क्या फॉरवर्ड कर रहा हूँ, मैं सब तुम्हारे ऊपर. So it all depends on us enlightening people around us not to forward a forwarded message, because it can lead to many, I mean, क्या बोलते हैं, तख्ता पलट भी कर सकता है, और what do you call, it can take lives. So the legal part is yet to be discussed and come, but we can contribute from our part.
Thank you sir, for answering the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions patiently, and thank you, Amrish sir, for asking such inquisitive questions. Now I would like to request Abhishek to take this session forward. Over to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Professor Dr. Susmita Bala at DME Media School, Delhi Metropolitan Education, to give the concluding remarks.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks, Mr. Pankaj Jain. Of course, it's a very interesting class. Sir, you share lots of examples. It's true, we have to be alert and cautious about facts. Trust and belief is important, but in journalism field, we have to cross-check either print or electronic. Thanks, sir. Thank you again. Thanks to all of you present here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Pankaj Jain for this wonderful session. I would like to extend my gratitude to Professor Dr. Ambrish Saxena, the DME Media School, convener ICANN4, and Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, at DME Media School, Chief Associate Convener ICANN4, for the ideation and planning of all the sessions. I would like to thank Ms. Manmeet Kaur, Dr. Manasvi Maheshwari, Ms. Shruti VS, Mr. Mohit Kishore Bhatts, and Mohammad Kamil for their constant support and guidance. I would like to thank Mr. Ritik Ghosh, Mr. Sumantra Sarthidas, Mr. Sachin Nair, and Mr. Yogesh Sharma for providing the overall digital operations and technical support for the ICANN4. I would now like to thank the entire team, all faculty members and students who have worked day and night, facing all the challenges and obstacles of the pandemic to make this conference happen. I must thank all our participants who joined this session. Dear participants, we value your feedback. Don't forget to drop your valuable feedback on the link posted in the chat box. Follow our social media handles for more updates and information. Don't forget to visit the DME website and the ICANN4 micro website for any or all details. Moreover, stay tuned for the upcoming sessions of today. We have our second technical session on communication through cinema and social transformation from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., followed by a masterclass on artificial intelligence in journalism by Dr. Uma Shankar Pandey from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Last but not the least, we have Unleaving of Wood, the practice of public relations, written by Ms. Catherine Lancioni, USA, by 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. See you all there. Till then, I take your leave. Have a great day.